I sold my car, my apartment, my future $100,000 worth to save them. I handed them the receipt, and Mom said, "Pay. Leave. Repeat." Dad added, "Good. Now put the house under her sister's name." For days later, their account was empty and the debt was back, with interest. And then my sister. "You never learn, do you?" That was the first thing my mom said when I handed her the receipt. $100,000 in savings, gone. Dad didn't even look up from the couch. He just muttered, "Good. Now put the house under her sister's name." I stood there in my work shoes, still smelling like printer ink and late trains, holding proof of everything I'd sacrificed. My car, my apartment, my savings account, my plans for grad school. All gone. Gone for them. They didn't say thank you. They didn't hug me. They just took the money like I was the ATM that finally coughed up. Mom said it like it was a job. Pay. Leave. Repeat. For days later, I logged into the shared account, the one they insisted we open for transparency, and it was empty. Every cent. And the debt? Somehow, it was back. With interest. And this time, it was my responsibility again. That same night, I called my sister to ask what happened. Her voice was sweet, fake sweet, like candy left in the sun too long. "Oh, that," she said, yawning. "Relax. It's just money." Then she added, "I think it's cute you still care. But don't call this number again, okay? It makes things complicated." And just like that, it clicked. I wasn't the sibling. I wasn't even the backup plan. I was the investor. The fool. The mark. And then my sister. Well, that's where it gets interesting. I should have known it wouldn't end with the money. For days after reversing the transfer, after my father's voicemail calling me an ungrateful child, I woke up to 33 unread messages. All from my sister. All variations of the same thing. "Call me. You have no idea what you've done. You better fix this before it's too late." I didn't respond. Not immediately. Instead, I poured myself coffee and sat on the floor of my nearly empty apartment. Empty because I'd sold almost everything that had mattered to me. My car, my savings, my condo. All for them. For my family. My phone buzzed again. This time she called. I picked up. "What?" I said flatly. "You've lost it," she hissed. "Do you even know what you've done? You mean besides saving a house that none of you seem to care about anymore?" There was silence on the other end for a second too long. Then she said it. "You don't belong in this family." It wasn't even shouted. Just dropped. Like a casual truth. I almost laughed. But before I could reply, I heard my mother's voice in the background, clear and sharp. "She's right." And my father? Of course, chiming in like a dying echo. Maybe it's better this way. That's when I realized this wasn't panic. It was planned. Rehearsed, even. They didn't care about the house. They cared about the control. The money I brought in had been a leash, and now I'd slipped it. "I guess I'll save you the trouble," I said, grabbing my jacket. "Consider me officially out." No one stopped me. My sister actually smiled. My mom sipped her tea. My dad didn't even look up from his phone. It was so absurd, I didn't even cry. I just walked out, slept on my friend Laura's couch that night, and laughed about it over wine. "You're better off," Laura said. "Honestly, your sister's insane, and your parents." I don't even have words. She was right. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that this wasn't just my sister lashing out. This was calculated. She'd been laying the groundwork for months, little digs at family dinners, complaints whispered when she thought I wasn't listening. He doesn't understand how we do things. He's always trying to be the hero. He thinks he's better than us because he works a desk job. It wasn't enough for her to be the favorite. She needed me out of the picture completely. So 2 days later, when I saw them packing for a family vacation I'd never been told about, I just stood there at the top of the stairs, watching. 3 suitcases. 1 carry-on for my sister, bright pink and monogrammed. She saw me watching and couldn't resist. "Oh, are you just going to sit here all alone?" she smirked. "What will you do without us?" I smiled. Calm. Detached. "Hopefully get some peace and quiet. Maybe you'll finally grow up." Her face turned red instantly, and she screamed. Not cried. Screamed. And of course, my parents ran to her, like always. "You're so cruel," my mom said, clutching my sister like I'd slapped her. "Why can't you be more like her?" That was the last straw. I said nothing. Just waved them off and turned on Netflix the second they pulled away from the driveway. 2 days. That's how long the peace lasted. 2 glorious days of silence, popcorn dinners, and dancing around the kitchen in socks. until the phone call started. First one, then 3. By lunchtime, 12. All from my sister. I ignored them until call 15, when I finally picked up, just to tell her to shut up. What? She was crying. I've been calling you all morning. Why didn't you answer? Because I don't care. What do you want? We're stuck. Define stuck. We were robbed. Some guy took all our money. We have nothing left. Mom and Dad are freaking out. I paused, then said it, slowly. Oh no. Anyway, stop it. This isn't funny. Oh, it's hilarious. Tell me, how does it feel being the loser now? Are you going to help us or not? I thought about it. Really thought. Part of me wanted to say yes. Not for her, but because I was still trained to feel responsible. But then I remembered the tea sipping, the smiling, the you're not one of us. So I said, let me think about it. In the meantime, maybe try calling someone who actually likes you. Then I hung up. Over the next few hours, texts flooded in. From her. From my mom. From my dad. Please. This is serious. We need you. By nightfall, I had over 20 missed calls and a single voicemail from my mother. I thought you were better than this. We're your family. That's when I lost it. Laughing. Family? Weren't they the same people who kicked me out of my own life? I texted back one sentence. Sorry. I'm just the roommate. Remember? Then I turned off my phone. When they came back from their little disaster vacation, I heard them before I saw them, slamming doors, barking orders, dragging suitcases like it was my fault the trip turned into a disaster. I was sitting on the couch, eating noodles straight from the pot, when the front door burst open. My sister was the first one in, red-faced and boiling. You're unbelievable, she snapped, stabbing a finger at me. We were robbed, and you just sat here doing nothing. Correct, I said, not even looking up. Do you even care that we had to beg strangers for help? I glanced at her. You mean like the way I begged for respect and got none? My mom stormed in after her, looking exhausted but still finding enough strength to sigh like I'd failed her personally. You could have sent something, she said. Even a few hundred. You knew we were in trouble. I also knew I wasn't family, I said. You made that very clear. My father came in last. No hello. No pause. Just launched straight in. You embarrassed us. Your sister cried every night. And all because you decided to be vindictive. Vindictive? I stood up. You stole from me. You told me to sign over the house, gave the money to her, and it was all gone in 4 days. But I'm the problem. My sister scoffed. We were going to pay it back. But you don't give anyone time. For days. I repeated. Not 4 months. 4 days. You emptied the account, and the house is still in my name. Dad crossed his arms. We said we'd fix it. I turned toward him slowly. No. You ordered me to pay, leave, repeat. You wanted me out the moment the money hit your hands. He opened his mouth, but I didn't let him speak. You know what? I said. Let's have this out. Right here. All of it. Because I'm done being the quiet one. My sister rolled her eyes and threw herself onto the couch dramatically. Ugh, here we go again. Poor little martyr. Always the victim. But I was ready. I walked to my desk drawer, pulled out the thick file folder I'd been building over the last month, bank records, screenshots, emails, timestamps, everything. And then I dropped it on the coffee table. I kept receipts, I said. What is this? My mom asked warily. Proof. Of where the money went. And who spent it. She flipped the first few pages, scanning the highlighted withdrawals. That's not ours. It's hers, I said, pointing at my sister. All traced back to her card. Fancy spas. Jewelry. Crypto transfers. My sister jumped up. You were tracking me? I was protecting myself. You've been lying this entire time. She looked to Mom for support. Are you seriously going to let him treat me like this? But my mom didn't speak. She was staring at the receipts. Eyes wide. Jaw clenched. And here's the best part, I continued, reaching into the folder for the last sheet, a printout of the mortgage company's alert. The house? You didn't even try to transfer it. Instead, you tried to remortgage it. Under my name. There was silence. Then my father's voice, low, shaky. Is this true? My sister's face crumbled. I was going to fix it. I needed to clear some things first. You tried to steal the house, I said coldly, while I was still legally responsible for it. That's not fair. Fair. I snapped. Fair was when I sold my future to save yours. And you took it and lit it on fire. That's when my phone buzzed. A text. From Laura. Check your email. Sent you something you'll want to see. I opened it. and what I saw stopped me cold. An attachment from an anonymous tip-off inbox I didn't even know she had access to. Inside, a scanned document, a loan application, made in my name, signed, forged, by my father. I turned the screen toward him slowly. What is this? He squinted, blanched, then tried to speak. I only submitted it to see if it would go through. You used my name. It wasn't personal. You forged my identity. My mom gasped. You said we were borrowing, that it was agreed. I never agreed, I said. I never even saw this until now. My dad looked cornered. No bluster. No shouting. Just caught. The room was spinning, but I saw everything clearly now. They hadn't just exploited me. They tried to trap me. Legally. So if the remortgaging failed, I'd still be on the hook. The debt wouldn't be theirs. It would be mine. I backed away. Cold all over. You were going to ruin me, I whispered. You ruined this family, my sister screamed. You turned them against me. But before I could answer, a quiet voice cut through the room. From the hallway. I always knew you were lying. We all turned. It was Mike, my sister's husband. He'd come home early, and he'd heard everything. I trusted you, he said to her. I defended you. Even when you told me to cut your brother out because he was jealous. My sister froze. And the money? That crypto account? That wasn't our savings. That was his. You don't understand, she started. But Mike wasn't listening. He picked up the folder, flipped through it, then turned to me. If you want to press charges, he said calmly, I'll back you. I'll even testify. My sister's jaw dropped. You're choosing him over me? No, he said. I'm choosing truth over nonsense. He turned and left the room. My parents stared after him in stunned silence. My sister's world, the one she'd manipulated and polished like a trophy, was finally shattering. And me? I picked up my file, looked them all dead in the eyes, and said, This isn't revenge. This is reality. And you're about to feel every sin of it. Then I walked out. For good. I didn't sleep that night. Not because I was anxious, but because I was wired. High on adrenaline. On truth. On the feeling of finally breaking free. By morning, I had already made 3 phone calls. One to my lawyer, one to the mortgage company, and one to the fraud investigation unit. By noon, legal letters were on the way to my parents' house. To my sister. To my father. That forged loan application? Already submitted for criminal review. I wasn't bluffing anymore. They wanted war. They got it. 3 days later, I got the first taste of justice. An email from the mortgage company. Loan fraud confirmed. Liability returned to applicants. Property title frozen pending court decision. Translation? They couldn't sell the house. Couldn't touch it. And my name was being removed with damages. Then came the kicker. I filed a civil suit. I sued my entire family. Not out of pettiness, out of self-preservation. Fraud. Theft. Emotional damages. Every cent I'd given them, the $100,000 and more, was meticulously documented. And since I had everything in writing, receipts, transfers, emails, even screenshots of text from my mom saying thanks for covering this again, the case was airtight. Even Mike offered to testify against his own wife. When they got the notice of the lawsuit, it was like a bomb went off. First, my sister texted, You're destroying this family. Then my mom, We're your parents. You're suing your own mother. And then my father, in all caps, You'll regret this. You mean nothing to us now. I didn't reply. Let them scream into the void. Court day arrived. They shuffled in like strangers. My mom wore black like she was attending a funeral. My father sat stiffly, lips pursed like he was chewing glass. My sister glared like I'd stolen her money. But the judge didn't care about theatrics. He cared about facts. And I had them all. 97 transfer records. 18 receipts from utility payments in their names. 3 confirmed forged signatures. 1 crypto wallet linked to my sister's email. My lawyer laid it out like a murder scene. Methodical. Cold. Precise. When he finished, you could hear my father's teeth grinding from across the room. My sister tried to defend herself, of course. Tried to cry. Tried to claim she thought the money was a gift. But then my lawyer pulled out the email she sent my mom 2 days before the robbery. Once he transfers the full amount, I'll cash out through Coinbase and pay off the car loan. Boom. Their defense collapsed like a house of cards. The judge didn't take long. He called their actions systematic financial abuse, deliberate deception, and my personal favorite, parasitic dependence masquerading as kinship. Then he ordered the following. All $100,000 to be returned within 30 days. $15,000 in punitive damages, $7,000 in legal costs. Total, $122,000. From them to me. My sister gasped like someone had punched her in the stomach. My mom burst into tears. My father just stood there, pale, silent, defeated. They tried to stall, of course. They cried poor, tried to claim they didn't have it. So I froze their accounts. Legally, I placed a lien on their car, on their second home. Even my mom's retirement jewelry went up for liquidation. I got everything back. Every cent I'd ever poured into that bottomless pit of manipulation. The final payment came from the sale of my father's vintage motorbike, the one he swore he'd pass on to the next generation. Guess what? I sold it at auction. $4.11,000. Used half of it to tip the paralegal who helped me win. And the rest? I took myself on a trip. Not to find myself. I already had. But to reward myself. For surviving the very people who tried to bury me. 2 weeks after the ruling, I got a call. From Mike. He sounded tired. Broken. She's gone, he said. Gone where? She packed up, emptied the joint account, and vanished. She left a note saying I betrayed her, that she deserved better. I think she went to stay with some guy she met online. I didn't say anything. She left Ellie too, he added. Just left her with me. My chest tightened. Is she okay? She misses her mom. But she's starting to see who her mom really is. Then he paused. I know it's a lot. But, if you ever want to see her. She asks about you. I swallowed hard. I'd like that. My parents? Still silent. Still pretending I don't exist. That's fine. I've never felt more real. More whole. More me. And if they're wondering how I sleep at night, let me make it clear. I sleep in a warm apartment. On sheets I paid for. With a locked door. And not a single leech inside. I'm not family. I'm free. You know what no one tells you about cutting off your family? You don't feel peace. Not at first. You feel hollow. Like someone scraped out your insides with a rusted spoon. But then it fills with something else. Something cleaner. Sharper. Clarity. Not the kind you post online with some fake sunrise quote. The real kind. The kind that burns. It starts in your bones. Every time you remember their faces. Not the ones in old family photos. But the ones they wore when they tore you apart. That slight smirk when you cried. The shrug when you begged. The silence when you screamed for fairness. You finally understand it wasn't love. It was control dressed up as loyalty. Manipulation in the costume of tradition. They didn't want a son, a brother. They wanted a provider with no boundaries and no questions. But that version of me, he's dead. He died quietly. The moment I realized I was the only one still playing by the rules. And what rose from the ashes wasn't interested in their approval. He wanted fire. And he got it. They called it betrayal. I called it balance. You don't drain someone for years and expect silence forever. You don't spit on the hand that feeds you and act surprised when it disappears. Now, they whisper. I know they do. Not because they care, but because I became something they never expected. Untouchable. I don't answer their texts. I don't check the group chat. I don't show up to birthdays or pretend to smile for dead traditions. I live on my terms now. Without the guilt. Without the debt. Without the weight of people who saw me as a resource instead of a person. And I won't lie, sometimes the quiet is loud. Sometimes I walk past families laughing in restaurants and feel the sting. But then I remember, mine laughed too. Just never with me. Always at me. Until the moment I stopped bleeding for them. Now, my phone doesn't buzz with emergencies that somehow always cost money. No more late-night guilt trips disguised as check-ins. No more fake crises designed to test my compliance. Just stillness, and peace, and power. Because power isn't shouting. It isn't revenge. It's not answering when they scream your name. It's not caring when they finally realize they need you, and you're not there. They say time heals. But I don't want healing from them. I want distance. I want consequences. I want the version of me that I had to kill off to keep them happy to stay buried. Do I miss them? No. I miss the version of them I invented, the one I thought would come around, apologize, change. But those people never existed. What existed were users, parasites, performers. And I was the only one who thought the show was real. Not anymore. Now, I look in the mirror and see someone they tried to break and failed. Someone who said, enough, and meant it. Someone who chose peace over obligation. And if they think they'll ever get that old me back, they won't. Because that version was built on lies and blind hope. And I've learned, family isn't who shares your blood. It's who respects your boundaries. And when people choose money over you, over and over again, they don't deserve your name in their mouth. They deserve silence. They deserve distance. They deserve to remember you only when the bills come due. And they will. They already are.